Day after day, we are surrounded by the presence of criminals. We are spectators to the deepest darkness in human actions and the bizarre reality that someone's suffering can be a form of pleasure. As dedicated investigators of the criminal world, we're on a mission to uncover the most shocking crimes and get inside the minds of those who commit them. I am Luke, and today I bring you another unreal true crime. The mysterious case of Penny Bell. Ruth Penelope Penny Bell, known to most as Penny, was born on February 28, 1948, in Somerset, England. Her childhood was a mix of highs and lows. As a teenager, family problems intensified, leading 16-year-old Penny to leave home to start a new life. Despite her young age and lack of resources, she managed to forge ahead, buoyed by her energetic and friendly personality. Eventually, Penny married, and at the age of 30, in 1978, she gave birth to a son named Matthew. Details about her early adult life are sparse, including information about her first marriage, which was relatively short. In 1981, Penny married Alistair Bell, a successful real estate agent. They had been friends before their marriage, and Alistair readily accepted Matthew, raising him as his own son. To outsiders, they appeared to be a stable and prosperous couple. In 1982, Penny and Alistair welcomed their daughter, Lauren, Penny's second child, and the first from her marriage with Bell. The family seemed to be thriving, settling into a comfortable home. The Bells' finances improved significantly, and in October 1987, they moved with their two children to a house valued at £500,000, approximately $626,000, in Baker's Wood, in Buckinghamshire, an area regarded as a haven for celebrities at the time. Their life seemed idyllic, with a harmonious home free of any obvious strife. They enjoyed the privileges and comforts their financial situation afforded them. By the early 1990s, Penny had established herself as a successful businesswoman. She was highly organized, managing her busy schedule meticulously. Alistair also did well professionally, and though their family home was comfortably equipped, in the summer of 1991, the Bells hired a renovation team to refresh their home's aesthetics. They could easily afford the renovation expenses. Little did they know that their seemingly perfect world was about to collapse, and a tragic event would soon expose family secrets that no one could have imagined. June 6, 1991, began like any other day for the Bells. Alistair left the house at 8:30 a.m., as usual, to drop his son at school before heading to work. He bid farewell to his wife, who appeared radiant and cheerful as always. The night before, Alistair had noticed Penny seemed worried, but she assured him she was just exhausted. Alistair believed her, as she fell asleep quickly. He thought the stress of the home renovations was taking a toll on her energy. As Alistair left with his son in the car, he noticed Penny didn't give her usual hand-wave goodbye, but he attributed this to her being preoccupied with many things, including the disruptions caused by the renovation work. Later that morning, around 9:40 a.m., Penny left her home and got into her Arctic Blue Jaguar XJS. Before departing, she briefly spoke with the workers renovating her property, informing them she was in a hurry due to an appointment at 9:50 a.m. Strangely, Penny hadn't mentioned this commitment to her husband, nor had she recorded it in her diary or any other documents. She left hastily for this mysterious meeting. The morning proceeded as usual until, later that day around noon, a shocking discovery at the parking lot of the Gurnell Leisure Centre in Greenford, London, forever changed the course of events. A passerby reported to the police the sight of a woman's bloody body inside a parked car. The vehicle was identified as a blue Jaguar. Responding officers immediately noticed multiple stab wounds on the victim's body. Inside the car were the woman's belongings, quickly identifying her as 43-year-old Ruth Penelope "Penny" Bell. As the investigation began, her body was sent to the coroner's office, where it was determined she had been stabbed approximately 50 times in the chest and arms in what police described as a frenzied attack. Within the crime scene, the central console of the vehicle contained samples of wallpaper intended for the Bells' bedroom. Investigators found it peculiar that Penny had received these samples 15 days earlier, yet she had never shown them to her family. It appeared Penny might have been showing the wallpaper to someone in the car, or perhaps this person intentionally placed them there to stage the scene and mislead investigators. The only person Penny had discussed the wallpaper with was the interior decorator working at her home. That morning, she mentioned seeking the second opinion about the color, which is why she had them with her. Forensic investigations revealed more details about the brutal attack. It was determined that the assailant had stabbed Penny from the passenger seat, then exited the vehicle and attacked her again from the driver's window. Despite the implications, no one witnessed the attack. Police tried to reconstruct Penny's last movements that day and discovered that on June 3, 1991, 3 days before her murder, she had withdrawn £8,500, about $10,600, in cash from the joint bank account she shared with her husband. The purpose of this large cash withdrawal was unknown, especially since she had never withdrawn such a significant sum before. The police believed Penny had this money when she died, but it was not found in the car. Although robbery could be considered a motive, Penny's purse and wallet were still in the vehicle, making it strange for a thief to attack the victim so viciously. On June 8, 1991, the police held a press conference where it was reported that the parking lot of Grinnell Leisure Center was very crowded at the time of the crime. The lot had 153 spaces and was almost full. However, the killer had an advantage. Penny's car was parked in front of a natural hedge barrier, obstructing the view from the front. This location might have been chosen by the killer for its potential to attack and escape unnoticed. Investigators believe the murderer would have been heavily blood-stained after the merciless attack, and it was likely that someone had seen them, as it would have been difficult to go unnoticed. Police requested the community's help, asking anyone who observed anything unusual to come forward. However, no witnesses reported seeing anyone covered in blood near the crime scene. Witnesses did, however, report sightings of Penny on the morning of her death. Around 9:45 a.m., a woman walking her dog near Penny's home saw a man in a brown or bronze car waiting on the side of the road. She stated that a blue Jaguar pulled up next to the car, and a man got into the passenger seat. Penny's blue Jaguar was quite distinctive, making it highly likely that it was her. The man was described as around 40 years old, of medium build, wearing a light shirt and dark trousers. Penny's usual route to the office was via the A40. A truck driver reported seeing the car matching the Jaguar's description in Greenford just before 10:30 a.m. He noticed the car was moving very slowly and had a passenger in the front seat. The driver seemed to be trying to park, but the passenger kept correcting the direction, steering the car back onto the road. As the witness passed the car, he saw the man's hand on the wheel and noticed a gold chain on his right wrist. Several other witnesses reported seeing the same blue car with its hazard lights on, moving very slowly and occasionally veering into the opposite lane. Despite these observations, no one paid much attention or stopped to see if the driver needed help. Others claimed to have seen Penny's car in the Grinnell Leisure Center parking lot. However, the car was strategically parked near a hedge, limiting visibility from the front. A woman walking through the parking lot noticed the windshield wipers moving on a dry, sunny day and the hazard lights flashing, but she did not look inside the car. These sightings in the public pool parking lot happened less than an hour after Penny left her house. Another witness saw the blue Jaguar with a dark-haired man in the passenger seat. He watched the car enter the parking lot and saw the driver, presumably Penny, look at him and silently mouth a plea for help, though he heard nothing. Despite this, he ignored the call for help and continued on his way. Around 10:45 a.m., a witness saw a man leaving the swimming pool parking lot on foot. He was described as elegantly dressed and not carrying the swim bag, suggesting he wasn't there to swim. It was noted that one side of his face appeared disfigured. Penny had been stabbed multiple times, but the witness did not see any blood on the man's clothes. Similarly, a driver reported seeing a car speeding along Greenford Road. She said she pulled in front of it, thinking there was enough time, but the car quickly closed the distance due to its high speed. The driver signaled with his lights and shouted for her to move aside. Initially, she didn't let him pass but became frightened and stopped. The police were perplexed by these testimonies and the general indifference of those who noticed something amiss but did nothing. Investigators firmly believed that Penny knew her killer. During their examination, they found fingerprints in Penny's car belonging to a man named John Richmond, a former neighbor of Penny and Alistair in Whitmore Road in Harrow, before the family moved in 1987. John, who had a criminal record for forgery and smuggling, was arrested in April 1992 and held in police custody until July 1992. He was eventually released after the police decided not to press charges. In December 1994, John contacted the Daily Sun newspaper, claiming he was the person Penny had planned to meet on the morning of her murder, but that they had parted ways before she was killed. He also claimed her death was a contract killing and that he knew the perpetrator. He offered to reveal the name in exchange for £80,000, about $100,000. However, authorities suspected this was an attempt to recoup losses from a recent bankruptcy. Instead of paying John for the information, the Daily Sun contacted the police. Without anything to corroborate his claims or conclusively link him to Penny's murder, the police assumed his statements were false and driven by financial interest, and no charges were brought against him. Alistair, Penny's husband, was also considered a suspect, being the primary beneficiary of his wife's estate and life insurance. However, there was no evidence linking him to the murder, and he had a solid alibi confirmed by coworkers. Media speculation also arose about Alistair's homosexual affair, suggesting his lover might have killed Penny out of jealousy. Penny was aware of her husband's bisexuality. When they met, Alistair was in a relationship with another man, who even participated in their wedding ceremony. Police rigorously questioned Alistair about this, but later ruled him out as a suspect. It was also revealed that until 1982, when daughter Lauren was born, Penny had volunteered at Samaritans, a charity offering emotional support to people dealing with issues like anxiety, distress, and suicidal thoughts. The police considered the possibility that Penny might have acted as a counselor to someone mentally unstable, leading to the murder. However, this theory did not hold up. The investigation concluded it was very likely Penny knew her killer, but establishing a motive proved challenging. The robbery theory didn't fit the scene, though the whereabouts of the money she withdrew the day before remained unknown. There was no evidence of sexual assault, yet the frenzied nature of the attack suggested a personal motive. In 1993, John Bradley, a former royal stewardess, was similarly murdered with a knife as she got into her BMW in East London. Newspapers nationwide quickly reported the similarities between the two murders. Both victims were successful business executives in their 40s and died within 5 kilometers of each other. Like in Penny's case, Jean was not sexually assaulted, and her purse remained intact in her car. A witness saw the suspected murderer fleeing the scene and chased him, but lost him in an underground parking lot. Blood and DNA traces found at the crime scene did not match Jen. However, investigators could not link the samples to anyone and found no connection between the two murders. To this day, the murder of Jen Bradley remains unsolved. Following the failed attempt to link Penny's case with Jean's, the police resumed their investigation. They considered convicted murderer Robert Napper as a suspect but ultimately ruled him out. The officers later announced that up to 30 people who might have been in the parking lot at the time of the businesswoman's murder had not yet come forward to report if they saw anything on the morning of June 6, 1991. Alistair Bell made a public plea for witnesses, but it was in vain. During the investigation, over 8,000 people were interviewed, and more than 2,500 written statements were recorded. Although Michael Flynn, a business associate of Alistair and Penny, offered a reward of £20,000, approximately $25,000, for evidence leading to a conviction, the case grew cold. The tragedy of Penny Bell's murder didn't end in June 1991. 10 years later, when Lauren was 19, her father Alistair told her he no longer had the capacity to love and asked her to leave the family home. Her older brother, Matthew, had left for boarding school a few years earlier. Over the years, Lauren has given several interviews, expressing that everything in her family seemed to break apart from the moment her mother died. She described her mother as the glue that held everyone close, and since her passing, friends and family drifted apart, which she found deeply saddening. Lauren remarked that contrary to the belief that families come together in the wake of tragedy, her family experienced the opposite. She lamented that while similar cases often see families holding candlelight vigils and trying to love each other more, the Bells mourned differently. She said that since 1992, her father has been a prisoner of his own grief, no longer seeing or speaking to anyone and still living in the family home. Lauren noted that the lack of maintenance on the grounds of their once imposing property made it appear abandoned. In 2022, Lauren, now a mother herself, gave an interview. She revealed that she had become a detective in an attempt to solve the mystery of what happened to Penny. She enlisted the support of former Metropolitan Police Detective Brian Edwards, who led the initial investigation into the murder and retired in 1999. The two teamed up since 2021, marking 30 years since Penny's murder, and are determined to solve the mystery surrounding the horrendous crime. Lauren announced they would offer a reward of €20,000 for any information that could help identify the perpetrator and bring them to justice. Retired Detective Edwards stated to the same media outlet that Penny's case had always troubled him, and when Lauren contacted him, he did not hesitate to get involved again. Together, they are scrutinizing every detail of Penny's life to find new evidence, hopeful they will uncover the culprit and, with police support, bring the killer to justice. More than 2 decades after Penny Bell's bloody body was found in her distinctive blue Jaguar, the case remains one of the most enduring and enigmatic unsolved crimes in the United Kingdom during the 20th century. And with that, we conclude today's case. As always, I appreciate your support of my work. If you subscribe, like, and share this video, it helps me continue creating content. This was another episode of Unreal True Crime. See you soon.